Hi, everybody. Ted Haggard here from the Storehouse in Colorado Springs. The Storehouse is the house church ministry of St. James Church. And so Gail and I have the privilege of meeting in our home every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And it is wonderful to get to talk with people and learn the scriptures together and grow together. It's an awesome believers meeting. And then on Wednesday nights, we get together and study the scriptures together. And that also has been better than a great delight for all of us that participate in that. And we go through the year through the Bible Highlights booklet. And then from time to time, we have an emphasis. Like right now, I'm sending out emails on eternal judgment. And so if you're not on our email list and you would like to be, just contact me. You can do it by sending me a text at 719-338-0079, or you can go to our website, thestorehouse.homes, and you can press contact and you can get in touch with us that way if you'd like. But this morning we're looking at Numbers, the 13th chapter. And in Numbers, the 13th chapter, it's when the people of Israel were ready to go in and take the promised land, and they sent spies into the land to determine what the land would be like. That is just like our lives are every time we have an opportunity. Every time we have an opportunity, we try to assess how much will it pay us? How much comfort will it bring us? How much work will it require for us? There are a lot of assessments that we all go through when we're considering a new job or a move to a different part of the country or things like that. It's a big deal here in Colorado Springs because Colorado Springs is attractive to people. And very often people come here without a job already secured, and that makes life very difficult for them. But if you have a job secured here and come here, then you can prosper greatly here. But you've got to have things in order. Well, that's what they were trying to do here when they were taking the promised land. And it's very, very interesting to see how they did this. So here in Numbers 13, the second verse says, the Lord now said to Moses, send out men to explore the land of Canaan, the land I am giving to the Israelites. Then, starting with verse 25, is the scouting report. And this tells us so much. And let me just read it to you. I'm reading from the New Living Translation. It says, after exploring the land for 40 days, the men returned to Moses, Aaron, and the whole community of Israel at Kadesh in the wilderness of Paran. They reported to the whole community that what they had seen and showed them the fruit they had taken from the land. This was their report to Moses. We entered the land you sent us to explore, and it is indeed a bountiful country, a land flowing with milk and honey. Here is the kind of fruit it produced. But the people living there are powerful, and their towns are large and fortified. We even saw giants there, the descendants of Anak. The Amalekites live near the Negev, and the Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites live in the hill country. The Canaanites live along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea and along the Jordan Valley. Now, this is exactly the way life is. Everything in life can have wonderful, wonderful benefits to it, but it all takes work. It takes some skills. It takes some ability in order for us to receive the very best that God has for us. And some people are lazy. They just say, if I worship and if I pray, then I'm going to receive everything God has for me. No, that's not true. You have to walk into the land and actually take the land that the Lord has for you. All right. And that might require taking additional classes. That might require getting an additional degree. That might require turning off your television and starting to read books. That might require studying a little bit so you know what you're talking about. And so there's work required in taking these things. And here it gives the report, beginning in verse 30, it says, but Caleb tried to quiet the people as they stood before Moses. Let's go at once and take the land, he said. We can certainly conquer it. Now, we have a couple of friends here in our little house church named Caleb. And both of those guys are warriors. They're both exceptional young men. They're both achieving great things. They're both aggressive. They're smart. They take care of themselves. They're impressive when you talk to them. And so their parents appropriately named them Caleb. Now, I have an outreach ministry that I use. I do it through Lyft. I drive for Lyft. And once in a while, I'll pick up somebody named Caleb. And sometimes they know what the name means. Other times they don't know what the name means. If they do know it, they seem to be more aggressive and stronger. They were named appropriately. If they don't know it, when I tell them, it always encourages them. Caleb is a strong character in the scriptures. But the other men who had explored the land with him disagreed. We can't go up against them. They are stronger than we are now. It will always appear that to be anything successful is going to be overwhelming. Like if you look at a distance at a factory worker that makes a lot of money with the union, that'll seem like an insurmountable task to many people, unless they go and they get the job and learn the skills and start to participate. Or if they want to be a nurse, or if they want to be a doctor, or if they want to be an engineer, or if they want to be a scientist, or an astronaut, or even nowadays to be a maintenance man, or somebody like that. You've got to know how to operate a computer and how to operate certain things. And a person has to have the amount of courage that is needed on the inside to be able to learn it, to be able to address it. Now, the satisfaction that we get in life is through healthy, life-giving relationships. We are created to draw satisfaction and security through healthy, life-giving relationships. That takes having a career. That takes knowing things so that you can be respectable. So what does the devil do? The devil tries to get people to be alcoholics or drug addicts or something along the lines to make them passive, to make them so they're lazy. They don't learn. They're not aggressive. They don't have personal confidence. And therapists think, oh, they don't have personal confidence because of the way their mom or dad treated them or whatever. And that may be true. But the issue is you've got the ability on the inside of you to rise up with confidence and learn, or rise up with confidence and achieve, or rise up in confidence and get the education. In our family, we have some who have educations and others who don't. The ones who have educations, they have a school debt and things like that, but they also have the ability to earn more. People without the education, they struggle more because they don't have the level of skills that maybe some of the others. Now, some people get an education that's worthless, and that, of course, is worthless. And so a marketable education is very, very important for people to be able to achieve and take the land and be able to do the things that God wants them to do fully. All right. Now, I'm not saying you have to have an education to obey God. I'm saying the more education you have, or the more you know, the greater opportunity you have to earn. Okay, so it says, so we can't go up against them. They're stronger than we are. So they spread this bad report about the land amongst the Israelites. The land we traveled through and explored will devour anyone who goes to live there. All the people we saw were huge. We even saw giants there and descendants of Anak. Next to them, we felt like grasshoppers, and that's what they thought too. So here they saw the hurdle that needed to be overcome. They saw it as so huge that they felt like grasshoppers. They felt like they were crushable, like they couldn't achieve. Okay, I was in Pueblo, Colorado just a few weeks ago, and I picked up a young man who got in the car, and I was taking him to work. He was an African-American young man. I was impressed the way he walked to the car. He carried himself strong. He got in, and I said, well, how are you? And he said, just great, going to work. And I said, where do you work? And he said, up at the local hospital. And he told me what he did at that hospital. And I said, that is fabulous. I am so impressed. And then I went ahead and said, I was impressed the way you walked out of your house and got in the car. And he said, well, I bought that house yesterday. day. And I said, really? Is that right? How did you do that? And he said, I saved and saved and saved, and I just bought that house. And I said, well, tell me, how'd you get your furniture and everything? And he laughed and he said, I don't have any furniture in it at all. He said, I slept in a sleeping bag on the floor last night, but I wanted to sleep in my own house. And so I told him about Craigslist, and I told him about the marketplace on Facebook. And I said, that's the place to get some furniture. You can get it inexpensive. Get a bed first, and then get a kitchen table, and then try to get some pots and pans and just slowly accumulate. And I said, now you've got a great earning job at the hospital. Are you going to go ahead and become a doctor or a specialist in some area? And he said, oh, those doctors are all stuck up. And I said, well, why would that limit you? If they're arrogant or if they're high-minded, what does that have to do with your career? What do you want to be? He said, I want to be a doctor. And I said, well, there's a university right here close. You're an African-American young man earning a good living. Brother, if you want to be a doctor, you can be a doctor. And the rest of the time, we talked about how he can achieve that. And by the time he got out of the car, he was encouraged. He was excited about his future. He was ready to go for it. And he has been writing me about every 2 or 3 days ever since then. And that was weeks ago. He and I met. And he wants me to drive down to Pueblo to have lunch with him sometime to keep talking about his life plan. Listen, here's what happened. Before, being a doctor, for in his mind, was so huge, he felt like a grasshopper, like he could never achieve it. All right. But after he realized what the Lord's plan was for his life, and here's what impressed me about him. I said things like, well, tell me about your girlfriend. He said, oh, I'm not messing with that. And man, he was a strong, handsome young man. He could have had girlfriends easy. All right. But he said, I'm not messing with that. I need to focus on my career. And so you could tell he'd established his priorities in order to achieve something significant in life. And in just a few years of hard work, he would be in a position where he could achieve. Listen, every one of you are that way. There is a beautiful, wonderful future for every one of us if we'll just obey God's plan and not let alcohol, drugs, distractions, things like that get in our way. Because you see, if we're satisfied through relationships, we can grow. But if we get involved with alcohol or drugs, that brings people, it releases endorphins in your life. So you get satisfied, but you lose relationships. If you lose relationships, you fail. If you gain life-giving relationships, you grow. And so here are just a few of the big ideas that are necessary. And this chapter is so important because there's a promised land for you and you can go get it. Well, that's enough for today. You all have a wonderful, wonderful week. It was great talking with you today. The Lord Jesus bless you.